Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to model this wonderful casting here, machine casting, and yeah, let's dive into it. We are here in part design. Let's start with a sketch on the XY axis. First of all, I like to bring in the profile of the revolution body. For this purpose I use the polyline function. So we have a casting here. That means I can bring in here directly some draft angles, and I will correct them with the dimensioning later on. Okay. Yeah, so this is the base profile. Let's do the dimensioning as a next step. Here we have 300 millimeters. This distance should be 150 millimeters. So this guy will be 130 millimeters. This dimension will be 160 millimeters. We move this around a little bit. And now we have a dimension here of 1.5 degree. 1.5. And what we can do now is we can set this line parallel to this line. Okay. For the machining we should have a distance here of 5 millimeter. This can be coincident to this line. And this might be here 5 millimeters. This line should be coincident to the center. We have distance here of 5 millimeter. We have a distance here of 400 millimeters. And we can set this line coincident to this point. Okay. We can set this line here. Oh, this should be perpendicular to this one, and this should be coincident to this point. Now we bring in here the distance of this flange, which is 45 millimeters, and what we need as well is this distance here. That should be 50. Okay, so this is the whole profile, and next step will be the revolution. Okay, here's our profile. Now we use the revolution function, and in the preview we see everything we need is there, looks good, so hit OK. And this is the base body. Okay, now I like to bring in the base hole in the middle of this part. For this purpose we need another sketch on the top surface, and I bring in a circle of 100. Let's move this a little bit. 150 millimeters. Okay, close this one, and we use a hole function for this purpose. We go through the whole part with a diameter of 150 millimeters, and that's it. Now let's bring in some ribs. For this purpose I use a next sketch, and I don't like this view here, so I like to see the inner structure. So I go back and I toggle here the transparency that I see a little bit more in the sketch. Okay, once again. And now we have a better chance to place the profile of the ribs. That makes it easier for us. And again, I use this polyline function. And let's see how we start. I think a good place to start these ribs is here. We have a little bit machining in the upper and lower area. So we have to consider this. Now let's see. Let's start. We go here. And we can do this one. We can do this here. Yeah, I think that's a good profile to use. Right mouse click to end the command. Now let's do some dimensioning here. Yeah, this could be 110. It doesn't really matter. This could be 25. Here we have a dimension of, for example, 35. Here we have, for example, 255. We do this to 48 millimeters. 100. This could be 170. So that looks better, 10 degree. We have to define these points here. Let's see, this one is 325. And let's see what we can do here. 100. And I think when we have this angle here, then everything is fine. This could be 50 degree. Okay, so this is the profile of our rib. It doesn't really matter if this rib has here 48 millimeters or 50 millimeters or 325, but more or less in this area we want to place a rib. Okay, so let's go back to the 3D area, and now we want to make a circular pattern of this rib. So in total we need 6 ribs around the whole part. Let's do the pad. We can go here on the top view. So what you see here is, this is not 100% centric. So we put it symmetric to the base plane, and we make it a little bit thicker because we also need some draft angles here. So 15 may be fine, but it has a height of approximately 180 millimeters. We go to 20 millimeters. This is a good value. Okay. Now let's bring in the draft angle on the rib. First of all, we select the 2 surfaces we need, these 2. The 1.5 degree should be okay. We have a neutral plane here, that could be this one. Now you see the direction is not alright. We flip that. And the pull direction we don't need in this case. Everything is fine, and let's click OK. And the rib is done, okay. But what I do not like is this thin area here. So we have 2 possibilities. We can thicken the rib a little bit, or we can reduce the draft angle. So let's reduce the draft angle to 1 degree. And for me, yeah, this looks better. I think we can use this dimension. That's fine. Next step will be we bring in some radius on the rib before we do the revolution or the circular pattern of this rib. That saves a little bit of work. Yeah, I think, let's see, we use these edges here. And we can bring in here, for example, 15 millimeters. 15 millimeters looks good. Yeah, we keep that. Okay. Next step will be we do the polar pattern or secular pattern of this rib. We have now here a second rib on the other side, but we like to have 6 ribs. I think that looks good. Let's confirm. We keep this. This area is also alright. We keep this. And now let's start with the fillets. Adding the fillets will cause some additional work here because I forgot to bring in the fillets in these areas. If I do this here in 3D with the ribs, so the fillets will stop here at the rib itself, and that makes a lot of work. So I go back to the sketch of the revolution and I will add the fillets in this sketch. Okay, so let's go into our base sketch. So let's bring in here some additional fillets, maybe 10 or 15 millimeters, we will see. Let's do it 10. Okay. And leaving the sketch gives us an error message. There is no planar face for the hole that we defined here for this sketch. So we have to reattach the sketch. That's this surface here. Everything is green, okay. Now the hole is done. Okay, let's continue. So we make this here as a tip. That looks good. The draft looks good as well, but this fillet makes some problems here. Okay, let's see what we can do. Yeah, I think the selection edges, they disappeared, so we delete them all. Then let's do it once again, 15 millimeters. Use the control key to select them all at once. Okay. And let's do this polar pattern here as tip. And now we have added this radii in the sketch. I like to continue bringing in some more fillets. So let's see how we can do this. I think in this case we have to select the edges we need. First of all, we use this edges on the ribs to bring in some more fillets. And where is it? This one. 6. And let's see what we can do here. Two millimeter may fit. Let's try 5 millimeter, and we select them some more edges. Sorry, that was not correct. Using the control key, it's easy. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a nice picture. That looks good. And we keep that. Let's continue with the fillets between the ribs and the base body. So I think we start with a 3 millimeter fillet. Okay, in this case we have a tangential line here, a tangential edge, so we only need to select one edge. Of this rib. Let's see what happens. Yeah, this is a 4 millimeter, but I think we can also use here a 5 millimeter. It's a relatively big part, so a 5 millimeter is fine. Using the top view, yeah, it looks good. And I want to have a 5 millimeter radius here on these edges. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, let's confirm this. And on the other side as well. I like to split these two operations in any case of some modifications that we expect someday, maybe. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, it's working. So as far as I see this part, there are no more fillets to create, so everything is defined on the base body, on the outer areas. And now we bring in the holes, and then we bring in the machining. There are some fillets to add on the lower side. So in this area we didn't do anything. Let's do that. Let's bring in here a 1 millimeter radius, a 2 millimeter radius. And we bring in here a 5 millimeter radius. Okay, that's it. Looks good. What we need next are the 12 surfaces for the screw heads. So let's do that. Let's make another sketch. Okay. We need a 30 millimeter circle here. We now need a construction line here. And we will dimension this. We need 12 holes. We need 12 pads. That means 360 divided by 12 is 30. And this is a baseline here, so we need an angle of 15 here. Okay. And the distance should be 377.5. Okay, so that's our surface. Yeah, and the height of this pad can be 5 millimeters. So let's see. This is 10. So 5 millimeter will do it. Okay. Yeah, before we continue, we should have a fillet on this top surface here. Let's see what we can use. Yeah, 2 millimeter will be fine. Okay, so next we make a polar pattern of these pad together with a fillet. Okay, we need 12. Now we need as well a radius here on this edge. I use the wireframe view for that. That makes it a little bit easier. Okay, let's see what we can bring in here. Yeah, 2 millimeter will do it. Okay. Okay, done. Okay, wonderful. Let's continue with the holes for the M12 screws on these beds here. We need another sketch. Okay, let's use, no, we don't use the radius edge, we make a new circle here. Should be 14, the diameter. And we have a distance to the center of 377.5. And we have an angle of 15 degrees. Okay. Now let's use the hole function again. We have a through hole of 14 millimeters. Okay. We use the polar pattern function. And we still need 12 holes. Okay. Now let's continue with the machining. So we need to machine this inner surface here. We need to machine the top surface, and we need to machine all these 12 surfaces for the screws. And we need to machine these two surfaces here on the bottom. So for this we need a new sketch. And we need the exact plane for that. Okay. So I start with a polyline with a rough structure for the machining revolution part. And let's see how we do that. Okay. So that should be the outer structure. Now we have to bring in the dimensions. Let's see what we have here. We make this 30. We make this 82. Let's see. Yeah, that should be enough for machining. This can be something here, 320. This can be here, 295. Okay, there is another distance here that doesn't matter. This one is already defined. We can have a distance here from the bottom to this surface of, for example, 10. Here we like to have a distance of 12. Okay. So this is nearly the whole structure. This can be 400 and something. Fully constrained, okay. We do the revolution and then we will see what happens. Yeah, what we have to do is we have to bring in this sketch in another body. Let's create a new body. And we move this sketch to another body, that's 001. Here we go. And now we make a revolution of this sketch. That looks good. Now let's do the Boolean operation. So this should be active here, that's the case, yes. We need to add this body here, and then we have to turn this to cut, and that's it. Two things are still left, that is the machining of this surface, including the chamfer here, and the 12 threads here on the top surface. So let's do this right now. We need to place a circle here on this surface, maybe 10 millimeters in or 12 millimeters in diameter. Now let's take 105. Okay. We turn this to construction element, and the angle should be 15 degrees. That's it. Regarding the hole feature, we use it a couple of times, so let's see how we can turn this into a thread. We need a regular isometric profile. It's threaded, and it should be M12. That's it, looks good. Okay. Okay, let's do the polar pattern. We need 12 of these guys, and here we go. Okay, so last action will be we bring in the chamfer on this screw holes here. Okay, and this is finally the whole part. Let's see how it looks like. Yeah, this one is fine here. As well as this one here, this area, it looks good. All fillets are in, the holes are in. Here's a chamfer. Yeah, we could add here a small chamfer for machining. 1 millimeter is all right. Okay. Okay, so this is basically the whole part. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next video.